Hi, everybody. Welcome to Trendy Trading. Let's go ahead and get started with this week's broad market analysis. We'll be looking very quickly over the SPY, Qs, DIA, IWM. First, I'm going to start you here with Trading View. These are the charts that I gave you. This is the bigger picture. These are the same charts that we went over last week. I haven't touched them, and I want to be able to go through these levels with you to kind of make you understand what's happened. All right, let's go ahead and start. So this is the SPY. This is a weekly chart. Again, these are the same levels we had last week. Notice that price we had a nice flush flow. This is one of my favorite things. I love to see everybody get stopped out and for bulls to come back in. And we ended the week on an inside week, and this is also a very nice hammer. Now notice underneath the cloud we have a very wide range. Now we are approaching the cloud. We actually closed inside that cloud, and just know that when you're inside the cloud, that volatility in those ranges, they decompress, right? And now we are maybe entering a period where the volatility slows a little bit. So please, for this week, I'd be paying attention to the VIX and see if we start to fade a little bit. And if we do, be careful. All right, because if you're trying to buy further out of the money and we're not moving much, you're going to end up wasting a lot of money buying into these premiums, and then the market just kind of do this slow crawl while we're sitting in the cloud. All right, so that basically, that is definitely my theme for SPY this week. Okay, now let me go ahead and zoom in really quick so I can show you what I'm looking for as far as structure is concerned. This is an inside candle by means of a trendy definition. I do not take wicks into consideration. I only take the body into consideration. The move itself closed inside the body. I'm happy there. What I'll be looking for is an inside and up or inside and down. So let me show you the inside and up. Once we go above this body, I want to be long, and I'll be talking about that on the neutral strategy to show you more in depth what those levels are. But once we go up and above this, I would expect prices to start to move to those targets I'll show you a little bit later. Now, for our structure, again, inside candle. This is an H pattern. This was a flush low. What all I mean is that anybody that might have been long here and was like, I'm in it for the long game. This is pretty easy as long as I don't get stopped out. I put my stop below the previous lows. Well, guess what? It's not that easy, is it? It's trading. Trading's very difficult at times. So they stopped you out. And then once you start to get scared or fear is very high, and by the way, the fear index was at extreme fear, which I really love. And that kind of gave me the clue that the market was ready to move up. Uh, and I'll show you that on the skew as well. We went over the skew last week just so that you guys can go back and take a look at that. And we were right on with our thesis going into this week. All right, so we got the flush low, but here we are again at resistance. Notice that we had the resistance level here from last week, and we closed right at resistance. If you look over here to the right, you can see 437.53 was that resistance. We're at 437.75 on close, up 2.21%. And if we stay over that, again, that would be an inside and up, and we could see a move up towards the targets I'll show you here soon. Now, again, weekly, we're under the cloud. Remember, the easier trade is above or below the cloud, and inside the cloud, it tends to get a little choppy, ugly, and honestly, for me, I would much rather be thinking about selling premium than I would buying too far out of the money. Okay, that's just me. Let's go ahead and move on to the Qs. And like I said, once we get finished with this quick look in Trading View, I will go over with you my neutral strategy going into this week. Okay. These notes right now, not important. So don't worry about those. Those were from 2 weeks ago. But you can see we came into the inside and up. And I understand anybody that's been around for a long time. It's easy to look at this and go, well, okay, price came into that green box and it moved up, but it's so wide, right? So what is your strategy when a box or a zone is so wide? Well, for me, I like the reclaims, or I like when price comes into one of my levels to the downside. All right. But again, those levels, most of those levels are proprietary to Trendy Trading, and those levels themselves you probably won't see here unless I were to break it down to a lower time frame. Notice that we had the hammer, we had the flush low, but again, we are underneath the cloud itself. And because we're underneath the cloud, I said last week I love the divergence between the two, and you can see we still have a lot of divergence. Divergence just means where price is and where the resistance is for the upside. Okay, so price is here, or you can look here at 345.77, and the bottom of this cloud basically comes in or around 358, so you could still see about 13 bucks to the upside. Now understand that the ATR is pretty wide as well for the Qs. I think it's around $17 on the week. And they do have quite some room to move if indeed this is a setup for the bulls going into this week. Just something to think about. All right. So if we start off on the right pattern, again, that inside and up, and we continue to move, and a lot of people continue to stay shocked, and their minds are on the news and the war and all these type of things, then what it does is the market is designed to basically create a lot of fear where you're not able to pull the trigger because you have this thesis that you're watching on TV. All right. And you're hearing from your friends, and it keeps you from taking that trade. And that's why I developed the neutral strategy to make it a little bit easier to at least have levels on the screen that you can work off of, understanding where stops are and targets and all that good stuff. That's what makes a trade plan, not the news. Okay. So very nice here, as you could see, if we go inside and up, okay, then we need to get over that body. And then I'm looking for these targets here on this bigger picture. And you could see we came into support, like I said, in the inside and up, and we pushed into target one. All right. Any targets to the upside are resistance. Let's go ahead and move into the DIA. All right, so the difference, just really quick before we move on, is that the SPY is just into the cloud, and the QQQ still has quite a bit of divergence. So what does that mean to me right away? It means anything that's falling under the NASDAQ, I would really be paying attention to on the bull side. So for you bulls, if you have like your top 3 or top 10 in the NASDAQ, and we go inside and up and the bulls are still in charge, I would definitely be focused on that. Okay, because there's a lot of room for the Qs to move going into this week if the Bulls are in charge. Okay, if. I'm not saying they are. All right, here's the DIA. Here's your inside and up. I gave you this chart last week. Look how beautiful these levels work, folks. I can't make this stuff up. I would encourage you to go back to last week, listen to me, and then compare it to this week. It's only going to take a few minutes of your time to really start catching on to what we're doing. And just really quick, this is the last week that I will be doing these videos and sending them out. We've been doing these for months. I hope you see and have learned a little bit from what I'm doing. And if you're interested in more information, I would go on to trendytrading.co. We have awesome trials for 7 days long, live trading, real brokerage alerts that are sent to the room within milliseconds. There's a lot to be learned here. And so if you're interested, please reach out to me. The DIA came right into the green box, which is considered an inside and up. Same thing, nice flush low. We took out that low. And believe me, even on the put side, guys, we did really well on the put side last week. And I had just a really good week. And for me, you know, going short and having names that were short, that gave us a nice amount of room here to short, and we close all those shorts like perfectly. A lot of those were spreads, and so it just was a really good time. It was just perfectly timed, and I love that. um Anyways, I was very excited is all I'm going to say. So we pushed up here, almost inside. This is not quite inside, so if we zoom in really quick, DIA or the Dow, we did not close inside the body. Some of you may have a different definition. We did close in within last week's candle. So if that's inside for you, that's great. What I would like to see is if we can get over this resistance level at 341.83. This is the bigger picture. Again, the bigger picture says if we can hold these levels, and they are wide, folks, it's not easy, that we are headed up to the red box. And basically, that's how my blueprints work. We're going from the green box to the red box, and from the red box we'll pull back into the support that I give in the next coming weeks or so. Okay, on charts. All right, so as far as the Dow Jones is concerned, we're underneath the cloud. There's a little bit of divergence there. Current price is at 340. We could see it move up to 344 if indeed the bulls are in charge this week. All right, let's go ahead and head over to the IWM, get into the neutral strategy. All right, so the IWM came into support. We actually got almost like, yeah, like a double bottom here. We pushed up into a little bit of resistance. The divergence between price 202 and the cloud right now is not very, it's very close. So if we get a gap up tonight, I would be skeptical as we'd be opening up into resistance. So just remember that. And again, I'll give you some better levels here that are closer for you to understand here in a second. Now we are still underneath the cloud. We're still underneath resistance. So just to understand, this was an H pattern, basically double bottom, nice push into resistance. If we open up around 205 tomorrow morning, just be careful. I would be looking for, when I say be careful, I have a plan for if we open up into resistance, we find levels where we should find support, and then we look to go long off of those levels, especially if things are still looking okay. As far as the bearish side, before I move on into the neutrals, is it. What am I looking for? Do I think we come back and test the lows again and break once again? I'm not too sure. So just know that we created lows last week. They're very wide ranges. This goes for all the charts I just showed you. And if price is unable to make a new low, I think we're just kind of sideways, for a bit. And I keep telling everybody we're either opening up into resistance or we're opening up into the cloud. So it could be a sell the premium sort of week. So, selling put credit spreads, call credit spreads, and just expect a sideways type of move. Remember to take a look at the VIX. Okay, so have that VIX ready to watch. And speaking of, let's go ahead and take a look at it really quick. I gave you this chart last week, and I said, I'm not trying to be funny. These are real levels, but basically, the U.S. stock market needs VIX to stay under this level. We stayed under that level, and if you look at the previous uh, wick here, we did not make a new higher high. We did stay under there, and then we started to rally big time into Thursday and Friday. And I think a lot of people were shocked. And were unable to execute because they were still stuck in the past. And being a trader means being super flexible and being able to understand and read the market is probably one of the best things that we do here at Trendy Trading, and I'm very confident. So the VIX is kind of stuck here. Remember, have this thing up tomorrow, definitely throughout the whole entire week. And if we continue to fade, I would expect the VIX to come down to about 25. And if we start to break down below 25, I would continue looking for the long side there. But understand that it's the stairs up, elevator down. So be careful with your option selection, as I think if things kind of slow down, and volatility is not there, you could lose a lot on the premium side. And that's again why I'm thinking about selling premium this week. All right. Now, for some reason, we're completely wrong. The lows get taken out. The VIX shoots up. If we start to pass over this level, just be cautious. That's 41.56. And you could see an extreme move up towards these levels up here. So that's the VIX. One last thing I want to show you before we go into the neutral strategy is the skew. We were dead on with this. I did tell you guys that this is typically where we want to be risk on. 2 weeks ago, I made a post and said, I'm actually the opposite of this, and this is where I had all those puts. And typically, what I'd be doing is buying 60 to 90 days out in calls in this area. And that would have worked out, by the way, if you did that. We had a really big move Thursday and Friday, but we sold all our puts in here, and then we started to capitalize here to the upside on some trades as well. All right. So the skew once again came into areas where you want to be looking at the long side. This is a very, very awesome tool to use, and if you don't know how to use it. Look at some of my past videos where I talk about that. Where we ended now is at 132.51. We're still in an area where the bulls can be in charge here. Put call ratio, I'm not going to take a look at it, but it basically was telling us that the entire market was on the put side. The majority of the market. And when you're on the put side, guess what, guys? Just like when everybody's on the long side, when things start to get extremely greedy and everyone's on the call side, you look for the market to pull. And in this case, everyone was extremely fearful, which the fear and greed index showed that. But then also the skew was here. It just all lined up perfectly, and that's why we got that nice little rally, right? So that is the skew. Let's go ahead and pull up now our neutral strategy. So we're going to do this, and this is going to be pretty quick. What I would expect from this point on is that you're going to, from here, give me 1 second. We are going to just look at the levels. All right. If you want to learn how to watch this, this is my YouTube video on how to trade the neutral strategy or how I trade it. I would take a look at that. It's very simple, looking to go long over the green line with stops where I'm comfortable. You can either do this from an intraday perspective or you can do this from a swing perspective. My risk for a swing is the difference between the green level and the red level. Okay. And then on intraday, that's just basically, I will tell you that my intraday trading, my risk are, anywhere from $1.50 to $2 in the SPY. It's pretty small. It's definitely not this entire range right here, 434 by 439. That's only if I want to swing things. Remember, the neutral strategy is derived from Fibonacci, supply and demand, support and resistance. All of those synergistically come together to create these highly probable setups for us. And in the neutral, just understand it's wild. There's a lot of crazy stuff that can happen in there, and most people, that's where they lose money. So I prefer the above or below that neutral. The lines to the upside are resistance until proven otherwise. Those are targets if I'm on the long side, these upper levels. And again, I would be looking at trimming and pulling my stops up every time we hit these. To the downside, same thing, looking for these targets, but I would be careful as they are bounce targets or support. So just understand that. You can see there on the SPY what that is. Let's go ahead and move on to the QQQ. All right, so here we are on the Qs. You can see that 348 by 341. This is a lot wider, folks. This was a lot of range, okay? A lot of range up here. And you can go right here and see the weekly ATR is about 17, just to confirm what I was saying a little bit earlier. These are your targets to the upside, 350, 353, 357, to the downside, 338, 335, 332. Now, this is really wide. So for myself, I'm probably avoiding a swing with this type of risk here. But how would I stay in a swing? I'll go ahead and go over that with you. It'll be intraday until proven otherwise. So let's say that we start to move over this. I'm long, and let's just say we get to T2 or target 2. My positions would be over 100%, and part of those would be free. So from there, I would definitely swing until we start to see this upper cloud up here around 357 or so. All right. So that's what I'm looking at on the Qs. And then let's go ahead and take a look at DIA. All right, you can see here 341 by 335, not so much of a risk. 5 to 6 is pretty normal. When we start getting over 5 to 6, it's not normal. And, we had some big moves last week. So this one here, not too bad from a swing perspective. But notice really quick on DIA that the cloud is right above us, guys. We're very close to opening up into resistance. So if the market gaps up tonight, that's what I keep trying to say, is be careful on the open. All right, be careful on the open. Let me just show you really fast what that looks like. So say we have resistance. We're going to do some candles here, and, we did this thing, and then we're coming back. And let's just say that my resistance is right around here. All right, now we closed here. And so typically what I'm looking for is for this to be a target on a gap up. So I would see a gap up, and a lot of traders would get super razzled, especially if they didn't go long over the weekend. They're like, I cannot get anything right. I can't believe this is still happening. I watched 200 points in the ES from Thursday to Friday, and I'm so frustrated, and they end up buying the open, and then all of a sudden they don't realize that they are opening into resistance, and so they get this pullback. I will be waiting for those certain levels for support, and then I will be going long on a reclaim. I have all those levels in my scripts. They are for daily, for scalping, for swinging, all that stuff. So I feel very confident that if we open up into resistance, I'll be looking for trendy levels to go long. And of course, we'll be sharing those there in the room, obviously live. And then I'd be looking for that bounce to come in. Right. So that's what I'll be looking for if we open up into resistance. So be careful. Hopefully you have some really good levels. Again, if you don't, come to Trendy Trading. Let us teach you. Even if it's just on a trial week, you're going to learn a lot for the week that you're here. All right. So there we go. That's the Dow Jones. You got your levels here to the upside, levels to the downside. Let's go ahead and look at the IWM. All right, so IWM disclaimer really quick. I did not change this chart this week. This is the second week in a row. This is actually definitely not normal for me. But you can see that the levels worked really well. So this is a great tool. And remember, anyone that might be new here, I keep all of these charts. And man, do they work, or I wouldn't be keeping them. It's so that I could show you proof of concept. And of course, our members are also here to give you that feedback on what they think about the neutral strategy. It's pretty amazing. So we are, again, last 2 weeks, check this out. I can't make this stuff up. You can see we came into that lower level. We're pushing up over the neutral. So once again, the scenario is telling me that we could gap up, okay, into resistance. And you can see the clouds right here. It's kind of swooping down. So we have topping wicks coming out of here. Another video I have on YouTube that you can watch. But just understand we are very close to resistance. So again, if we get the gap up, just be cautious. All right, and hopefully you know where those support levels are, and then I'll be looking to go long again if we can find bids, buyers at those levels. Okay, so same levels, nothing different. You can take a quick snapshot of that. And then really quick on my other screen, let me look over here. I want to look at the fear and greed just to give you guys that number in case you don't know what it is. I don't even know what it is right now, but it was at an extreme fear last week. And I want to see what it's at. So it's at 31. So it's still what we call fearful, but that's it. Okay. And let me just go ahead and show you right here. You can see right there, it's at 31. Now, it was extremely fearful, which again, I absolutely love. So, still some fear in the market. Whether or not that goes neutral this week and bulls stay in control, we don't know. There's a lot of things happening out there. Remember this before we end, folks. News is just a catalyst that moves price to one of our levels, whether you're using trendy levels or your own levels. Remember, stay in the right mind frame. News is just a catalyst, folks. Don't try to trade off of news. That's something I learned very early on with my trading. It doesn't work. Usually, if you're hearing about it, it's late. It doesn't make sense from a trading perspective. Now, some traders are okay at taking news and digesting it, making a good trading, feeling like, hey, I was perfect on reading that news, but I would 9 times out of 10 show you that the technicals were there actually before the news came out, and that's something that we teach about. Okay, so once again, I really appreciate you guys. If you like the videos, give me a thumbs up and a retweet out there on Twitter. That's all I ask for. And if you're interested in joining a wonderful community of very good traders, they're absolutely amazing. And you're tired of being in chat rooms where there's too many people talking about too many different things. Come check us out because I'm telling you, we're all on the same page. We're all trading very well. People are doing very well. There's a lot of mentors in there, and you don't have all sorts of different strategies where that can get very confusing. We are all on the same page, and we want to be able to help you out as well. So check us out, at least on a trial. If not, that's okay. Good luck to everybody, and I hope you do very well this week. It's been a tough time. It's not easy, but with levels and with the appropriate targets and stops, things can get easier for you to be more consistent. I really appreciate you. Have a nice time. We'll see you soon.